Imagine walking into a room and commanding it without saying a word. People lean in, not because you're loud, but because your silence screams power. Want to know how to become unforgettable? Let's dive into the art of being a quiet force. Inspired by Machiavelli's genius, reimagined for today's world. What's easy to predict is easy to control. Machiavelli grasped this truth. He didn't write to soothe, he wrote to caution. A leader who isn't respected is always exposed. This doesn't mean you should turn cruel, it means you must become enigmatic. In a crowd of noisy voices, the one who stays silent draws every eye, not for a quip, but for something undefined. That's the aim, to be observed, not for fame, but for caution. When you're no threat, you're a pawn. Reflect on your life. How often were you overlooked? Until you stepped back? How many returned only when you went quiet? How many honored your limits only after you enforced them with absence? You were playing the kind game. They were playing the control game. They knew you'd clarify, you'd pardon, you'd linger, you'd say sorry first, you'd never push back. And when they know you won't push, they push first and claim victory. Machiavelli saw it in courts. You see it in your friendships, your job, your own space. People don't challenge the formidable. They probe the open-hearted because they know your compassion halts you before your ego does. But when you become a quiet force, they pause before they speak. They rethink their words, plan more carefully, hesitate to cross you. Why? Because now you might not snap, but you could strike. The strength of the unspoken. They expect a reaction. That's how they gauge control. Can they make you wince? Can they make you justify? Can they make you pursue? Can they make you yield? Each time you do, they label you harmless. Each time you don't, they mark you potent. Potent doesn't mean wild, it means unreadable. Machiavelli knew that once people can forecast your feelings, they'll mold your path to suit their desires, not yours. But when they can't, they pause. They observe. They comply. You've spent your life chasing affection first. Now try being respected quietly, not with menace, not with noise, but with unpredictability, with stillness, with the refusal to bend on cue. The person who enters with a grin is forgettable, but the one who enters with no need to talk becomes a presence, and presence outlasts words. Machiavelli never drew a blade unless he'd already won with perception. Because in reality, it's not about what you are. It's about what they think you might do. You don't need to be a threat. You need to be seen as one. And how do you do that without speaking? You manage your visibility, your energy, your silence. Because in every space, one truth holds. They respect what they fear, and they fear what they can't grasp. Step 1. Never reveal your full hand. The loud ones bear it all, their goals, their fears, their plans, their triggers. They speak, they prove, they boast, and the more they expose, the simpler it is to outmaneuver them. But Machiavelli didn't preach openness, he preached mystery. He knew if they can read you, they can discard you. If they can't, they brace for you. So speak less, respond slower, keep your motives veiled, not to bewilder, but to shape how you're perceived. In a world where everyone craves attention, the one they can't pin down is the one they fixate on. Step 2. Don't justify, don't clarify. Nothing breaks the aura of strength faster than defensiveness. If someone critiques you and you justify, you expose a crack. If they call you aloof and you explain you're quiet, you show you care more than they thought. Every time you clarify your actions, you signal one thing. I'm still open to you emotionally, but Machiavelli would gaze blankly, nod, smile, and say, noted. That's how you become a force. You absorb everything and offer nothing back. Step 3. Send mixed signals deliberately. A threat doesn't need to be hostile, it needs to be unpredictable. People don't fear what they comprehend. They fear what defies logic. Machiavelli would laud a friend today and sideline them tomorrow, smile in a chat and ghost you by next week, show warmth and vanish without reason. Why? Because nothing breeds unease like inconsistency, and unease leads to mental surrender. You don't need to be harsh, just be puzzling enough to keep them respectful, wary of the side of you they haven't met. This is what we now call allure, what Machiavelli called a vital illusion. Step 4. Stay calm when others spiral. The ultimate intimidation is composure amid chaos. When they gossip, stay mute. When they shout, blink slowly. When they panic, speak evenly. When they jab, smile faintly. That's how you prove one thing: you can't rattle me. And if you can't rattle me, you can't shift me. And if you can't shift me, you should fear what I might move next. That calm, that refusal to escalate, is when you stop being a player and become a force. They circle you. Machiavelli would rather drop one line at a conflict's end than offer 100 defenses mid-fight. Because the fewer words you use, the heavier each one lands. And if they can't predict your words, they adjust. Their actions before you speak. That's not connection, that's authority. When people hear threat, they think aggression. When they hear power, they think control. But Machiavelli knew better. He didn't chase power through force. He chased it through presence. Because the most respected in any room are those who do the least yet are noticed the most. It is wiser to be respected than adored if you can't have both. Not because respect makes you cold, but because it makes others honor your quiet. You don't need to act. You just need them to believe you might. And that belief outweighs any debate you could wage. The non-threatening are invited to be dismissed. Let's talk psychology. When someone doesn't fear losing you, they waste your time, interrupt you, demand more than they offer, expect justifications, seek favors without giving back. Because your presence lacks weight, you're safe, predictable, kind, obliging. In the Machiavellian world, those aren't strengths, they're flaws begging to be exploited. So what's a threat? Not a fist, not yelling, not vengeance. A threat is staying silent after disrespect. Calm amid rumors, unpredictable without being emotional, leaving a room and making them feel it. That's respect, and respect is your leverage. You're not just a person, you're a consequence. Once they feel your detachment, your absence, your refusal to chase, they link your silence to a shift in their world. When you stop responding, they reflect. When you say less, they overthink. When you don't appear, they notice. Your absence becomes their mirror, not because you punish them, but because they realize, without their validation, I can't gauge myself anymore. That's psychological mastery. Machiavelli didn't need armies to instill respect. He needed silence, distance, ambiguity, because when they can't predict your next step, they either back off or try to regain your favor. Both serve you. Forge. The wolf slay the dog. Viral content like "slay the dog in you," Machiavelli calls for the wolf, resonates because everyone knows the sting of being the emotional dog. Loyal despite betrayal, warm despite mockery, compliant despite neglect. And everyone craves the wolf. But here's the truth, the wolf doesn't growl, he observes, and when he moves, no one's ready. That's who you must be. You don't growl, you don't justify, you don't plead, you strategize, you hold back, you let them feel the weight of your presence without raising your voice. The unforgettable are often silent. Here's the twist. Loud people shine in the moment, quiet ones linger in memory. After you leave, they replay what they can't define. Why was he silent? Was he judging us? What did that quiet mean? They can't let go because you never gave. Closure. And when they can't close the book, they reread it endlessly. That's how forces are born, not from action but from potential. You don't need to speak to own a room because power isn't spoken. It's signaled through stance, through presence, through what you don't do while others vie for attention. Machiavelli didn't shout orders. He watched, let others expose themselves, and then, without raising his voice, made them respect the gap between his words. Want to be a force? Build habits that make people question your scope. Habit 1. Never react first. When someone says something, cutting or provocative, pause. Others rush to retort, defend, or claim the final word. Not you. You blink, you wait. You let their energy hit your calm. Why? The first to react is seen as weaker. The one who waits, their move is anticipated. Machiavelli would act like he didn't hear rather than reply mid-speech. The pause isn't doubt, it's strategy. And people fear being strategized more than confronted. Habit 2. Speak slower, say less, leave early. Simple but transformative. Slow speech signals control. Sparse words signal worth. Early exits signal mystery. Most speak to be clear, but power seeks interpretation. Make them wonder, what did she mean? Was that agreement or a warning? Why did she leave when the vibe shifted? Machiavelli unnerved without volume because he never lingered long enough to be fully known. What they can't define, they start to respect. Habit 3. Vanish to amplify. Presence. The most commanding aren't always there, but when they are, everyone feels it. Why? They don't overstay. Leave chats, disputes, even meetings before your presence feels routine. The dog's always there. The wolf appears, then fades. And when the wolf fades, they ask where he went. That's how Machiavelli wielded power. Through scarcity, be the one they miss, not the one they expect. Habit 4. Never over-justify your choices. Explaining feels right. You want clarity, honesty, understanding. But Machiavelli knew every explanation chips away at power. You said no, say no. Changed your mind, let it stand. Walked away, stay gone. No reasoning, no emotional pleas, no. Defending your limits. Explaining is defending, and defending isn't commanding, it's bargaining. A force doesn't bargain. Habit 5. Stay emotionally neutral in social games. People test your core with provocations, jests about your quiet, flirts, jabs, or guilt trips to crack your calm. Why? They sense that unreadable energy and fear it. They try to break it because if they can't, they'll assume you're stronger. Let them assume. Smile, observe, step back. The more they try to read you, the more power you gain. Machiavelli didn't just seem powerful, he practiced rituals of restraint, moves of control, a daily stance that whispered, "You'll never know my limits, but cross me and you might learn." There's a fine line between mystery and obscurity, between silence that commands and silence that fades. Machiavelli's brilliance wasn't choosing respect over affection. It was balancing both, so your silence echoed your name in the room. Respect without fear breeds overreach. If people only respect you, they'll praise you, admire your skills, trust your judgment, but soon they'll demand more than they give. They'll interrupt, expect kindness as a given. You're liked, not watched. And when they stop watching closely, they underestimate your reach. Fear without respect breeds rebellion. If people only fear you, they'll obey outwardly but scheme in secret, comply publicly but undermine privately, yield on the surface but harbor resentment. That's fleeting power. It holds them briefly but fuels their dreams of your fall. Machiavelli knew this, so he didn't just demand silence. He earned respect through unpredictability. Fear needs a layer of measured admiration, not affection, not charm, but awe, the kind that says, he could crush me, but hasn't yet. The answer? Tension. The most powerful carry tension, not dramatic tension, but a subtle sense that you're kind yet untestable, calm yet untouchable, quiet yet awake. This tension keeps them on edge, in the right way, because they don't know how much of you is real. When they start gauging your depth, they stop trying to steer you. How to craft that tension? Machiavelli's way: be steady in control, uneven in emotion. Always composed, but not always warm. Sometimes watchful, sometimes elusive, sometimes faintly amused. Never angry, never passive, just poised but not fully open. That unpredictability keeps them guessing. Offer one sharp moment, then vanish. Speak rarely, but when you do, make it precise. End a dispute with one line, ease tension with one phrase, correct an error once and move on. Then you're gone. You leave the chat open-ended, the point unrepeated. That moment lingers longer than 1,000 speeches. That's enduring tension. Make them feel the loss of you without threatening to go. Machiavelli never begged for notice or warned of leaving, but he made people feel the void when he withdrew. Stop replying, stop agreeing, turn coolly professional, leave early without a word. No reasons, no closure, just distance. They'll feel it because your presence had weight they didn't see. Now they do, and next time they tread lighter. Let praise stand without your response. When they compliment you, don't gush, don't brush it off, don't return it. Nod, hold their gaze, maybe a slight smirk, but don't need their words to feel valid. Why? Because accepting praise without emotional need says something chilling. You know your worth, and their words were a gesture, not a necessity. This is how you balance. Let them respect your calm, but fear the enigma beneath it. That tension, that's how Machiavelli would lead today. The loud get seen, the quiet get remembered. He didn't just want to rule in the moment, he wanted to linger in their minds long after he left. Because true power isn't dominance, it's a presence that endures in your absence, and the most potent presence is the one that never explained itself. People forget a parent's death faster than a lost legacy. So what kind of person must you become to feel like a legacy when you're gone? Let's shape that version of you, step by step. Obsession isn't born from availability, it's born from distance. People don't fixate on what they fully grasp. They fixate on what felt near yet never fully theirs. That's how you become unforgettable, present enough to feel real, distant enough to feel untouchable. Offer a glance that lingers, a word that cuts deep, a calm that unsettles the unsteady, then vanish. That absence becomes a mental loop they can't escape. Strategy. 1. Defy their expectations. Most reveal themselves in minutes. Too kind, too open, too available. You smile less, speak slowly, give only what's needed. You create a contrast so stark it makes them adjust their tone, their actions, even their breath. Not because you demanded it, but because your energy reshaped the room. Now you've made an impact. Strategy 2. Let them guess, then hold back. They'll try to label you. He's intense, she's elusive, they're unreadable. Let them. Once they start guessing, they start obsessing. They'll replay your silence, analyze your looks, craft tales to explain what they can't reach. Don't correct them. Their imagination is your ally, and the more puzzled they are, the more they return. Strategy 3. Cut off mid-sentence, figuratively or literally. Most crave closure, full answers, clean exits, a neat bow. You end talks just before they're done, leave before they're ready, give silence when they expect a reply. Why? That unfinished edge becomes a hook. They'll revisit the moment, trying to complete what you began. That's how presence turns to obsession. Strategy 4. Guard your inner world like a fortress. They ask what drives you. Say, I'm focused. Are you okay? Always adapting. What do you want? Depends on the day. Offer hints, never the full story, because once they know your why, they'll scheme your how. But when your mind feels like a citadel, they stop probing and start watching, wondering, thinking of you long after you've moved on. Machiavelli's brilliance wasn't being seen as great. It was being seen as someone who could do anything, and chose when, how, and if. That if is the hook, they can't let it go. You've reached the final stage where silence isn't a tool. It's your default. You don't hide your feelings. You choose when, where, and if to show them. Machiavelli's ultimate form wasn't loud or brutal, it was disciplined. True power isn't when they obey from fear, it's when they act differently. Just in case you're watching, The unreadable can't be trapped. Once they understand you, they manage you. But when they see they'll never fully know you, they abandon control and give you space. Because you're unpredictable, and what's unpredictable is untouchable.